Man, yeah, that's a sight to see right there. It's pretty, ain't it? Now, we've been working on this 700 horsepower single wide Winnebago for a while, and we still got some work to do. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's kind of like, 700 horsepower? Really? I said, yeah. Because if you look in this little cubby hole here, there sits that Hellcat power plant. Supercharger, Hemi, cool stuff. Absolutely. Now, with this thing, to make it work, you know, we want everything to work on it. And we're planning to motivate this little Winnebago around for quite a while, road tripping, and we're actually going to take it to the road track. Well, racetrack. Yes, racetrack. Not road course. I don't know. I'm not doing that. But anyhow, we could have died. Now with this thing, we want to make sure that we're safe, other than the bear that's trying to get in through the wall over there. So with that, brakes are a must. I'm going to have people riding in there that I care about, and more than likely a few that I don't really care about, but I want to keep us all safe. Now with this silly little RV, it has a brake system on it that I ain't ever seen before. It's got 3 master cylinders. Yep, 3 master cylinder-ish type components. And you guys know, if you worked on a car and ever had to deal with the brakes and bleeding them, oh man, that's a barrel full of fun. Now we're gonna have 3 barrels full of fun. Another thing with it is the way this thing's designed. You've got your seat up here, your steering wheel, and normally, you know, up here's where the master cylinder is gonna be. Not this thing, it's up under there. And if you look up in this little cubby hole, you can see the actual brake pedal. It has the bottom swing type setup, kind of like your 30s and 40s model cars. So we got to get started on the brakes. That means we're gonna have to wallow around in the floor, and this is gonna be fun. Sitting here looking at this thing, there is a whole lot going on right in this area. You've got a massive brake pedal lever. That's what this is. And here's just your simple bracket that holds the master cylinder itself. And then you got a big funky crusty looking spring, not to mention your brake light switch. And then all that is bolted to this serious little bracket that is bolted to this chassis. Now, I mentioned you guys earlier that a lot of this truck or RV is based off of a 1-ton 71, 72 Dodge 2-wheel drive. And that's kind of the case. For instance, this master cylinder, I was a little concerned whenever I took this part off. You know, think about it. This is an old vehicle. This thing is, 50, 55 years old? And finding brake parts for really old stuff can be, how do you say it? Hard. Let's just be nice about it. So when I took this thing off and it being this odd duck, I was so relieved to find out that this really was off of a 71 truck. Only difference is these cool little fittings that they had screwed into here. It's actually designed to accommodate their brake line and the angle that they operate. So I just got a replacement one, screwed those old fittings back into it, and we're pretty much ready to install this. Now, sitting here looking at it too, this thing is sat for a really, really long time. And we're here in this wonderful shop. So before I just slap this thing in and go to pumping fluid throughout all the veins of this thing, you know what's smart? It's to blow those lines out. Because if there's rust and corrosion on the inside or debris that was in this master cylinder, and that little boy of mine was in there playing race car driver at one time and was jamming on the brakes and all the pedals. So if it did squirt any fluid, there's a chance it pushed a bunch of crud out of it and into those lines. And I don't want any issues. I've already rebuilt the wheel cylinders out here. So just to take some compressed air and blow in from one side and let it push out all that other junk, well, it's smart. And another thing I'm going to do, just to check on all the, let's say, status of the lines, is I'm going to put one of these little microfibers around it, kind of like this, and then I'm going to zip tie it around and then cut that off, and you can look on the inside and see what's actually in there. This will let the fluid come out, but it kind of filters any chunks, and that'll tell you sometimes if you get an excessive amount of debris, well, you need to be replacing all those lines. Now I get to go back under here. Well, I got one here I can put on first. we'll just do it. This also helps to keep from making such a mess. You got to think about all that fluid that's trapped in that line. It's just kind of one of them little simple things that can go to your advantage. Yep, that'll do it. Hopefully this doesn't blow back on us. Ugh. You hear that? All right. Now I'm going to cut this other thing off. I'm going all right. Ugh. Check that one in a minute. Oh yeah. That has some brake fluid in it. In all reality, brake line don't look to be too bad, and the fluid that come out of them is pretty clear. That's a good sign. If it was all brown and crunchy looking, y'all know what I'm talking about, you'd probably want to replace them. Oh, we gotta slide out from under here. And yeah, that creeper's so much easier. Yep, you can see in here it's just wet. There's dirt on both sides, so that's probably off of the tube nut. But in here is where you would be looking for all the gunk, and there's really not any. We can flip this one open. Same thing. That's where the tube is, and that's where the nut would be. You would see a bunch of chunky stuff if them lines were full of debris. This final one, it's all right there. Still got the ibuprofen. That's weird. Let's open this up. There's no chunks or nothing. So it looks like we're in pretty good shape. Time to put all this junk together. Get some fluid going back through it. And cleaning up a mess. Should have that little boy here. He'd be great at that. Well, who are we kidding? They're great at making messes, not cleaning them up. Well, now we get to mount all this up in here. And luckily, Winnebago engineered this to be convenient. Because if you notice, we have all this spacious room right here right now. Well, there's a lock washer. Look at that. Somebody put all that hardware back on there so that it would be where you need it when you go back together. That's my old man talking about stuff right there. Put that back on there. That way you don't have to look for it. Okay, fine. This install's not too complicated. About as basic as they get. It's got a couple of lines, a couple of lock washers. Says the guy that's fiddling with the nut to try to get it started. You ever notice when you're having good difficulty putting like this one, the bolt in, what your face does? Next thing you know, you got one eye closed, one lip quivering, kind of like it's doing a Elvis impersonation. Maybe it's just me. Don't judge. I'll bring that line just so. Massage that line out of the way, not bend. Make sure it's stuffed good and tight. That wrench is kind of short. I didn't grab my cheater bar. Now we gotta put the, oh yeah, I was afraid of that. We gotta kind of rework our tube nuts, if you will, on this thing. This one, you notice it spins easily. It's all great. This one, I can't move it. So we're gonna need some little slick 'em and some wrenching. Be back in a minute. Here's a little tip that I figured out from working on them old big body Chevys and demolition cars and all. A lot of times when you've got those old cars that have been sitting around, that tube nut will kind of freeze onto the line because there's corrosion between this tube and the nut on the inside of it. With it loose, there's a chance you can get it freed up. And if you're one of them vice grip guys, no pun intended, what I like to do is take and clamp one on ever so slightly. You see, it's got some movement to it, but if you'll put a little bit of slickum on it, both sides, and kind of grind that stuff out, work it back and forth, up and down, and as that stuff gets in there, next thing you know, it's free and it's easy to spin. And when you're trying to put lines on in an awkward spot, having that stiff tube nut can make that job a whole lot harder. Or if you spend a minute or so wiggling around like I'm doing, it can make your life way easier. Yeah, see how easy that's spinning now? You can tell all that rust and grime coming out of the nut of there. Man wanted to come in and spurt some brake cleaner in there, flood all that stuff out of there. Shoot, that thing be downright sloppy. No need to do that. We just need to get the brakes going. And that's rust preventative for that stuff we just sprayed on there. Now let's put this line up in there. Oh, I think we got it. Oh, and then fake little excitements. Oh, we got it. There's the. Heck yeah. Now I need to clock this 90-degree thingamajig. Oh, it's not even loose. Shoot. While we're here, we're just gonna use these things. I worked with a guy on the show. He used to give me grief about using pliers like this all the time. But I can tell you, it wasn't anything any more satisfying than when you'd catch him using them. Mark, you know what I'm talking about, buddy. He'd be like, golly, you gonna use them again? Heck yeah. It's that universal tool that fits dang near anything. Nuts, bolts, sheet metal. What else could it fit? Electrical connector. Heck, you name it. Oh, that's therapeutic. That means she's about tight enough. Trick here is to not break the brass fitting. That should be tight enough. Shoot, that was a lot smoother than I thought. Now we just need to tighten these lines up, make this other connection, and we can move on to the other one. Now I said earlier 3 master cylinders, and it's really not 3. It's really just one with 2 assistants, if you will. Now what these things are called a Midland Hydrovac brake booster. Yeah, it's kind of a mouthful. And it's a lot like your brake booster on your car. However, the way this thing works is you have the 2 vacuum pods that gets a source from the engine. It's got a diaphragm in here, and then you have a brake line that comes from your master cylinder on that Winnebago, and when you push the brakes, it flows in this thing and then out, and that is designed to amplify the amount of pressure coming out of your lines, or let's say what's feeding the brakes. You have to think of it this way. The brake system that was already on that Dodge truck 1-ton thing, it's not really the same as that big old Winnebago that it's hauling back there. Now, so what it needs is more pressure so that it can stop it, let's say, more efficiently. So that's where this solution come from. Now, I'm not gonna lie, whenever I fell up under this thing, starting to look at the brakes and all that, I was kind of intimidated, to say the least. And I've worked on some pretty gnarly stuff. But with this stuff, it was like, oh God, how in the world am I gonna get this fixed? Luckily out there, after about 5 different phone calls with different people, I finally found someone that could rebuild these. And they weren't available brand new because that's just what I wanted to do. But sometimes you can't do it, so the only thing you can do is rebuild what you got. Luckily my cores were good enough, but I hope that bleeding this thing is gonna go efficient. Now I did, whenever I was taking it apart, wind up twisting off one of the lines, and so that's why I got this cute little low booster line. Yeah, ain't it something? It's not exactly dialed into exactly where I need it to be. We'll just have to do that once we get it up under there. Yeah, let's get this first one on, and then we'll do the second one. Now that we're up here and all snuggled in, if you will, I told you about twisting off a brake line. Well, that dude was froze up. So I remember, it wasn't that I twisted it off. I cut it with a set of side cutters, because I said I ain't fighting it, I'm just cutting it. So what I gotta do is drop my tool, pick it back up, get started again, cut this line off and re-flare it. It's not a big deal, except for, you know, you're flaring brake lines on a car or vehicle. This ain't a car. That's my boy. Sound like he's building on. Nobody move. Anyhow, now I've got a hydraulic flaring tool that I purchased. I'm not gonna lie to you, that is a luxury when it comes to doing brake lines. If you use the old manual kind, there's nothing wrong with it. It just takes a long time to do it. Now that thing is a little bulky, and it's no joke, but man, it does a really nice job and does it very quickly. And if you're gonna do very many brake lines, like if you're working on your personal ride and you gotta do all the lines, fuel lines, brake lines, transmission coolant lines, all that kind of jazz, it's pretty handy. You'll probably find one online that's half the cost and half the quality, but it'll work plenty good for a few jobs. Man, there we go. First step, and oftentimes forgotten. Install the tube nut. Now let's get our tool out. Jeez. Now, I could give you a big sales pitch on why this thing's good and how it works and the molecular structure of the steel and all that, but I had to pay for this, so I ain't gonna tell you about that. Not being ugly, if they gave it to me, I'd give you all the sales pitch. Got each individual size. It's got a cool little flare to do the first step, which gives you a bubble, and you follow it up with this cool little thing here, and it gives you the cone or the taper. Watch this. See how fast this goes. We can do this in real time. Maybe. A little cumbersome, not gonna lie. But snug it up. Slide this little gauge out of the way. You may be able to see the tube is in there. And then snug it down again. Get my fingers out of the way. Let me back this up. First step's done. Man, it's taking me just as long to put my tools back up. Grab your cone, slap the cone in there, tighten the knob, Pump it a bit. Back it up because you didn't line it up right. Cone out. Cone put up. Ish. Tool off, drop everything. Look at that. Right there. Pretty sweet. Now, sometimes it takes a little finagling for you to figure out which way this thing goes. It'd have to go that way. Put that on. Yeah, I guess that's right. Is there a tube back there? Nope, that goes up there. Okay, gotta get some stuff out of the way. Smooth this. Smooth, man. I mean, it's working on cars is graceful. It's not bad. Sure is a lot of fun when you get it all together, though. Them safety glasses on, if you notice my eyes are all squinted up. Goes to here. And I probably should have left that. Yep. That's got to go behind there. But conveniently, I didn't tighten all my hardware up to allow me to give me some adjustability, by meaning I can take it all back apart. I'm not real sure, but I think this tube is kind of just an extra, meaning that hooks to here and it runs back that way. There's not a vacuum source back there. So I'm curious if it's like the exhaust, if you will. There's another port on the front where it gets its actual vacuum signal. And so when you let off, that air or that noise or whatever has to go somewhere. It's loose. And it spins. So it's not sealed right there. So it couldn't have vacuum on it, because if it did, it leaked. Or paid for a crappy rebuild. But I don't think that's the case. Oop. Not lined up. And we also got to hook up these brake lines here on the inside. And that looks like that's going to be a jolly good time. You can't really see nothing from where you guys are at, so I'll just tell you about it. It's tight quarters. I got a fitting in here. That's loose. It's kind of like that one that was making all that noise earlier. And my wrench is too long. What I need to do is take this back down, tighten that up. That would be faster. So this is only the third time to take the bolts out. I'm getting good at it though. So look at that. That's nice. Still mock-up. That's what all this is. Yeah, I'll do it. Now let's put this up here once again. I don't know if this is just all that hard or if it's just not as fun because you can't really brag about it. I put a Hemi in a Winnebago. Sounds awesome. I put a brake chamber on a Winnebago. Don't have the same zing to it. Now, this cool little part that I made, I'm gonna have to make it work. It really looks like it's too long. It might work. Oh yeah, I think we can make that work. We're gonna have to massage some things. Yeah, that'll work fine. Basically, I got them at two different opposing angles. One is at a 90, and this one's like here, And all I'm gonna do is tighten this one up, bend that one, and then you can plug them together. It's that simple. It's engineering. Bend that one out a little more. And then bend this one in a little bit. Cool little wrenches, which is where a wrench can be your friend on lines. Take it, put it on there, and then kind of tweak her around. Use it for leverage. Look at that. Oop. Spin this dude around. Look at there. We're almost there. And by almost, I mean about a mile off. Shoot, we nailed that. What's the chances of starting a line onto a Union one-handed? I should go buy a lottery ticket. See that 13. Nope. I gotta go all the way over there for. No, I don't. Don't judge me. This is an advantage. Not putting your tools away. Not putting your tools away. It's like a pipe wrench adjusting your wristwatch right there. Old Mark Chris be proud of me. I'm not using vice grips. Look at the size of them pliers. Man, we're almost there. I bet my face is making funny things too. The wrench went all the way over there. Thank you, love. Very tight. Now we just need to tighten this other one up, which is the easy one to get to. It's a hard one to see. Easy one to get to. Yep. And then this one has to go over here. Is there? I just need to grab a wrench for those. Make sure. Back here. Be back in a second. Stay low, man. Stay low. Stay low. You know, I don't feel a day over 62. It feels good getting this thing mounted. Really does. I found out these were bad. Kind of expected it. kind of worried me, because this is an odd duct part that can just complicate things. Couldn't find somebody to rework them. You've got to re-engineer the whole brake system. Well, and re-engineering that, does that mean like fancy more parts? All the labor it takes to do it. And time is money, and money's scarce. Yeah, I know that it seems like that you have to figure it out. Like, what does it mean to you? How bad do you want it? It's like, man, if it's supposed to happen, it's gonna happen. We'll find it. And luckily, it did. This brakes has been the biggest scare of the entire build of doing this Winnebago. And just to know that brakes are done, it's probably gonna really excite the build, going, cool, we're over that hill. Time to rock and roll. Heck yeah. Let my Duke boy slide. It's a long one though. Sorry. That thing split in a time or two. We having to cut that off made that easier. Cool. Now I got one more to put on up there. And this one's gonna be easier, because we had practice run with that one. Cool. It's gonna go record fast. I mean, eventually. Golly. This is good for the core. All right, let's get comfortable. Persistence pays off. Get started. Whew. It's kind of hard to get to. Can't even see the line you're working on. So you're having to kind of feel your way through it. Oh, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. Whoop, she just got tight, I think. Oh yeah. We'll back it up a little. Keeps it very loosey-goosey. I don't wanna find my bolts. One bolt's in. Second bolt closed. It started. One arm's cramping. What's yours? Heck yeah. We'll let that arm rest for a minute. Snug. Shoot. Smooth as eggs. Need my other wrench. Let's go with that one. Making weird noises. I know. Don't judge me. That one's tight. That one's tight. Tighten up our lines. 2 butts. Yep, this is gonna be a 3-er. Three. Hook up this exhaust pipe, maybe. Oh, was that thing supposed to go on the top? I think it was supposed to go on the top. So close. Oh, getting there. Now, I don't always use slick 'em. When I do, I like to use knocker loose. Yes, sir. This is not a paid advertisement either. At least not yet. Oh, yeah, that went in there. That's perfect. Just takes a dab. Or some people say a dollop. Depends on where you're from. We want to do this. Kick them up. Kick them down. Use my tiny little pliers here. Let's just spin that. Oh, could have died. I could probably go get a pair of the correct pliers and do this a lot easier, but it just gives you an opportunity to try a new skill set. That's so awesome. Not gonna lie, so awesome. We do have to bleed it, yes, and I gotta hook up a vacuum source on both of those. But that's awesome, because them things, I've been dreading this day. Yeah, I guess we should bleed. But quick question for you. Does these pliers make my hand look fat? I'm really concerned about it. I didn't think they did either. Let's get out from under here. Yeah. Oh, there's that creeper I've been looking for. Yeah. That'd probably make this a lot easier. One thing that definitely sucks whenever you're working on cars is bleeding brakes. I've done it bunches and bunches of times, and you know, there's been a few instances that it seemed like I worked on it for hours and hours on end. I wound up finding this cool little part here that's pretty tricky because it allows you to do it by yourself, and the way it works is it's more or less a little pressure pot. You take and put some fluid in the little container, make sure to put this big cap over top of your master cylinder, and then you screw this thing in there, and then you pump it up, and then the fluid will flow through here, out of that thing, into the master, and then out the lines once you crack the bleeders open. And I have to say, this does a pretty efficient job of doing all that. Now, you do have to use quite a bit of fluid because that's what's going to feed the system. It's a good idea to pour a little bit back into the master cylinder when you get, or before you get started. But man, this makes it way, way easier. This company also offers a cool little bleeder that you can take and put this little tube onto the bleeder on the wheel. And if you pay attention to this clear hose, as it kind of comes through, you'll see air bubbles go through it. Once it's once it's all fluid, well, you know that there's no air in the line. And it allows you to keep everything nice and tight and in a sealed container. It's pretty handy. So I need to pop my cap off, pour a little fluid down off in here. First, kind of got to wiggle around, get up in here. Man, oh man, it's not gonna work. Well, we're gonna just see if we can get it bled without it. It's all good. Let me grab the little roller here. Smooth and graceful. Don't need the box. Need a lid. Go ahead and grab our little pump. Now this kit also comes with cool little chain type setup that allows you to clamp this plate onto your master. But I don't use that. I always use a big old C-clamp. It's just a little more efficient. If you're working with one of the big fancy billet aluminum master cylinders, you may want to go a different route. Keep from chewing things up. But I've used them on it too and just put a pad under the master cylinder. And then this thing, we'll hook it in over here. So that thing clamped into place. Now we just need to pump this thing up. It's got a cool little gauge on there. What I normally do is crank it till it's standing straight up. You also need to pay attention to some sounds. You start hearing something that sounds like roof leaking, you may have a bleeder open or a line leaking. Also, if you don't have that, yep, that happens. Now that we've got the hemorrhaging stopped, we'll just go ahead and bleed this side. Normally, you want to bleed from the furthest point from the master cylinder. We're already over here. We're just going to go ahead and do it. So, you can do this messy way or a cleaner way. I've already started kind of down the path of a pretty messy way. But what you would want to do is take this little hose here and put it on the cap of your bleeder up in here. You guys know that's just kind of this little tapered thing with a hole in it. Now I put brand new wheel cylinders and all that stuff already on here. So the bleeder should probably come off or loosen up relatively easy. Now, sometimes you have to take those out with on an old car. You have to take them out and clean them out because there can be dirt and debris and all that kind of nonsense up in there. Man. And it's also handy to have several different wheels and all, or several different wrenches, because they can be standard, they can be metric, they can be all kind of depending on who made your wheel cylinder. I just broke that one loose. Now I'm going to stuff this little tube on here. With this and making such a mess in the floor, it's pretty much already bled most of itself out. Right now we got some more bubbles. You can see them coming through that tube, which makes it pretty handy. Because you got to think, we're starting with a brand new brake system here. We blew all the lines out, had to redo a few of them, put new hoses on it, in efforts, you know, to have something safe. So this process of bleeding may take a little while, but I'm just sitting here holding a bottle, seeing all them air bubbles coming out. This makes this process go a lot faster. We may be out of pressure up front. So, let's see here. Also with this cool little thing, it gives you this little wire. You can kind of hang it from a whole bunch of stuff. Find you a spot. Like that. Let that dude do its thing. I'm gonna go pump her up. Here comes the fluid. Let that thing do its job. Hoo-wee. You can hear it gurgling. And there's air moving, fluid moving. Sometimes it takes a few times as well. Like, may have to move around, go to this side, then that side, so on and so forth. Because that air can be compressed where the fluid can't. So once everything's all full, but again, you get a guy up there running the brake pedal, you know, doing 3 pumps, hold it. By the time you're all said and done, that fella's got a leg muscle size of your head, and then he don't come around. So maybe we need to keep that in mind for that person that you don't want to stick around. Let's go the other side. Drizzle hose. What the heck happened, bro? Oh, my wrench is sitting on it. First day. Bottle just filling up. Don't see any air bubbles. Let's go to the front. This is awesome. Maybe going faster than I anticipated. Ow! That'll grow back. Throw that in the floor. Man, I did that bottle challenge. I dropped that dude and it standed right up. Look at there. There. Did you just strip it? Almost. Let's do it this way. Take that off. Box pin. Break it loose. Just plug that back on there. Don't give up. Fluid's coming. Slowly that bottle's filling up. That means you're running fluid through it. This is also a way you can flush your brake system if you were concerned about moisture that got into the line and all that kind of stuff on. Like they always tell you when you go to the dealership, you know, they hit you for like $762 to do brake fluid flush. It's well worth it. We're going to tighten that up now. Move over to the other side. Another little handy thing for you. Make sure that bottle's lower. You pull that line loose, all that stuff will feed off to the bottom. We didn't lose a drop of that fluid. Now I did pour like a quart in the floor from running off to lunch. But it's the small things in life. Take these with me this time. Put that back on there so I don't forget it. Oh yeah. We already been through this. Break it loose first. Gave me them chili kind of sound. Bubbles. See, it's pretty easy to bleed brakes when you got somebody else doing all the work for you. All you got to do is sit here and watch all the work happen. And then clean up the mess, of course. Yeah. Once we do all this, we can tighten it up and then get in the big old Super Winnebago, aka the Hemibago. Stomp on that whoa pedal. See if we got anything. And with fingers crossed, we'll be good to go. Heck yeah. Take my wrench off. And then I'll bloop. Let's take this loose. See, we got a brake pedal. Kinda gotta try this thing on, see if it fits, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah. Whew, it's gonna take a little adjusting, but it's gonna be worth it. Heck yeah. Moment of truth. Man, yeah, that thing's got a tip-top pedal. That's what you're looking for. Heck yeah. That makes me feel like really and truly I've done something. Now, we've been working on this thing for a few months now, putting that Hemi in it. Hasn't been the easiest thing, but I'm not gonna lie, it hasn't been the most complicated. Some of the tasks that we're having to do is the any and every other object or car or whatever you wanted to work on. Well, you're gonna have to be doing it. You're gonna have to get the fuel system up to par. You're gonna have to work on the brakes. You're gonna have to figure out, you know, cooling systems, so on and so forth. And this one has been exactly that. We've got a few more things that we're gonna have to do. Got some wiring to take care of. I know you're excited about that. I know I sure am. Not really. I've got to hook up a shifter over here. These Mopars are known for pistol grips. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finagle one of them, but we're gonna have to come up with something kind of classy and clever. We're also gonna have to have us a loud pedal installed over here. With that thing sitting in there, it's that late model deal, so it's gonna have to be a toggle switch, you know, Riosat, one of them electric gas pedals. But it's all good. We'll have to make some brackets. But it looks like after I get that done, we're probably gonna have to go to the chiropractor because it's a little snug over here. But it'll be worth it. Think about it. Whew. Flipping some side pipes, letting that Hellcat purr, stomping on a pedal, blowing people's mind. Don't that sound like a good time? Well, let's see if I can get my thick self out of here. Go get something else done. Not gonna lie to you, I'm pretty curious. I'd like to know what your comments are about this thing. Now, I know it's not for everybody, but if you're about having a good time, you'll probably wanna jump in here and ride co-pilot, or heck, may even give you the opportunity to drive it. I'm not saying I'll let you do a burnout, but I'm saying I'll let you kind of soak up some of the fun. Now, this thing is gonna be taking a huge transformation over the next few steps. Getting that in there is, you know, the first one. Well, we're clicking off the little bitty things that basically makes all that jive, operate. Now, we still got to address the aesthetics. Now, we're not really gonna doll it up a bunch. Yeah, we are. We're actually gonna paint it and do some cool wheel stuff and some graphics. But if you wanna see that, you're just gonna have to keep following us along. I appreciate your support, and most of all, I wanna say thank you for everything you guys have done for us. Now, with this, if you could like, subscribe, follow along with us, I'd more than likely give you a hug the next time I see you. Appreciate all y'all's help. Keep making this dream happen. See y'all.